Hi and welcome to Fabric Bias. It is June 2026 and I am taking a break from my scrappy circle projects that I've been working on to do this bag here, and I'm creating some problems for myself, or actually just some challenges. So let me show you what I'm doing. I want to use this fabric, but two things: it's not wide enough. I need a 15-inch wide piece of fabric, and this one's only about 9 inches wide. Dog's complaining to the cat, sorry. I don't know if you can hear him whining in the background. Okay, so I could just piece the two together, but there's a flap that gets created right here, and so there'll be a seam. So I can't actually just piece the two together, but I have enough so that I could get the length that I need, because it's one really long strip. I can get the length, and then I would have to cut one of the pieces in half and stitch it to either side, or to both sides of the center, and that would give me my flap that won't have a seam in the middle. But yeah, it's a little bit more stitching. And then, well, I did finally find something that I thought I want to match with it. I'm going to go with this fabric, I think. So I'll have a solid piece on the inside, and I think that'll be okay with it. I looked for a light purple, and this is actually not purple. It's not purple, it's not quite pink, it's kind of a combination, and I don't have anything to go with this, and I don't have anything this light kind of teal color, and I want to go with something that I have, but I do think this does bring out some of each of the colors here. So I'm going to go with this one and cross my fingers and hope I'm right. I did consider using the inside of the fabric because it's lighter as the outside, because I like to do that. So I don't know, still thinking that one through. The other problem I have is this fabric is directional. So not only will I have to piece it from side on both sides, I'm gonna have to create my big piece of fabric and then figure out where the fold is gonna be and reverse that so it becomes not upside down. So yeah, I'm gonna sit there and think that through for a few minutes and go. I don't actually think it's going to be that hard. What I think I'll do is get it's supposed to be 19 inches deep, and what I think I'll do is probably just cut 20 inches in length, piece that together, and then mark where the flap is, you'll see on the project, and then figure out where the fold is going to be, and that's where I'll cut a little bit more. I have room for seam allowance and reverse, so it won't be that hard. All right, I'm gonna get to working. Oh, and there's no interfacing on this bag, but I want interfacing. So I'm also gonna add that to the exterior, I think. Okay, back in a flash. Okay, so I have my outer body piece constructed, and what I've done is cleaned up all of the edges so that I've got a nice straight piece again. And that left me with a measurement that's about, I've got it folded in half, so this is about 7 3/4, so that gives me 15.5 inches wide, which is bigger than the 15 that I needed. So I'm going to have to adjust some of the measurements later on, but not by much. And then I went ahead, and it ends up being about 19 and almost 20 inches long, 19 and I think 3/4. And I'm going to go ahead and leave that too, especially for now, because I know I'm going to be cutting these apart and fixing it. I mean, there's some give, I think, in this. I don't know, this is the first time I've made it, but so now what I'm going to do is I've drawn in where this portion right here is going to create a flap in the end. So I've drawn in the line in, which I chose to do 5.5. So it's going to be a little bit narrower than I think what the original, I can't remember what the original measurement was, but I went 5.5 in, and I went just a little bit, I was going for 4, and I went a little bit deeper than 4 inches deep. And drew that line, so I know this flap is going to be here, and then I just took a round object and I made a curve right here so that this is what I'll be cutting out. But before I do that, remember this is directional, and so if I go with it now, these cats will be upside down. So what I'm going to have to do at this point is, this is where it's going to come up to. I'm going to cut off at the fold here and reverse it, and then I'll be able to figure out the size. All right, back in a flash. Okay, so I have both the lining now cut out and the exterior cut out. I have this extra piece here from where I cut these corners. I just cut it straight and then I cut the curve afterwards. What I want to do, this bag has a strap, so you can hang it off your shoulder, or I guess crossbody if it's long enough. But what I also want to do, I think, is add, I'm going to use these pieces and add a couple belt loops. Yeah, I'm going to add 2 belt loops to the back here, because this will be, this part right here will end up, this is the flap, will end up the back of the bag. So if I add some belt loops in here, I just have to stay away. I can't remember how far over. I'm pretty sure this is the width, but I can't remember. So I'll have to stay away from that and just add 2. I could add one really long one. I think I'd rather have 2 because I like, you know, to add work to myself. But I'm going to use this, and it'll go on the back of this solid piece. No, it'll go on the back of this piece. I don't know. Let me go back and look and see. I did make a mistake here. This was folded over, or folded this way. I didn't see that I had accidentally got that little edge piece still on, and unfortunately it's right here at the tip of the flap. So what I'm hoping is when I come around here, it won't be noticeable. I'll catch that in the seam allowance. I'm hoping. It looks like it's 1/4 of an inch-ish. So we'll see from there. All right, so I have to make, and the way I'm gonna make these is the same way I make straps. You know, cut it into 4 inches, fold it in half, and then open it up, fold the insides, the raw edges into that fold, and then fold it in half again. And then I'll fold it backwards and stitch. If you've seen me do straps before that are exposed, it's gonna be the same way. Essentially, you're taking, so this piece gets folded in half and pressed, and then these 2 edges go in. Kind of doesn't look that way because of this, but, and then it gets folded like this, and you end up with this final strap piece. But then, because these edges are going to be exposed, you go back and fold it this way. I'm not doing a great job here because that's not folded quite right, but hopefully you get the impression. So you fold it reverse so that then your raw edges are at the top, and you stitch here and here before you turn it right side out again to look like this. Once you've stitched that, those ends are finished, and then you stitch down the edge to finish it. So that's what I'm going to do. Of course, it won't be, I don't know. I think I want to make them 1 inches. So I'll probably go maybe 1.5 inches. I'm going to see how much I have. These are 4 inches. Oh, so 2 inches should be plenty. No, 2 inches, and okay, I need to figure that out because I've got to figure out seam allowances for what's coming, going to shorten it out. And I don't want to look stubby. All right, I'm going to play with that and get that going. I also have all this leftover still of this fabric, so I have plenty to make the straps on that, and they are going to be skinny straps. So there's that. All right, I will be back in a flash after I figure out the whole belt buckle piece. All right, belt loop piece. All right, I'll be back in a flash. All right, so I have these, I cut them down from those 2 little scraps. First I cut the width, which was meant cutting off that extra piece I had sewn together, the piece here. That gave me almost 4 inches, and you can tell it was really close because this came out to quite about almost 1 inch. So super, just a little bit shy, but they also gave me this little fringe part that I cut off the end. I also cut this down to 3 inches. And so I've created a couple tabs because I like tabs on my bags, and I haven't been able to do that on all my circle bags that I've been making. Well, I haven't tried to do it on the circle bags. So I think I might try it here. So I haven't sewn these yet. These I definitely will, now that they're folded and pressed, I will flip them backwards and stitch these in order to finish off my raw edges before I stitch down. Again, turning it that way and stitch down. So these ones are ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and do that. These ones I was trying to fold it together. Of course, it's not sewn yet. I was trying to look at, I think, having not sewn this bag before, it's going to end up something like this. Okay, so my flap's doing okay, I think. And then like that. And then you do some stitching to make it work. And so I'm trying to decide, I really don't want a tab hanging off the side of it. Kind of usually, I mean, maybe I could make a small one. Might do that. I was thinking I wanted one up here somehow. And so I might try to tuck it. And so the reason I have to decide now is whether do I want to finish the ends or not finish the ends? And how long do I want it? So I think if I'm right on that there, I might go ahead and stitch it into here, into the bag, or here. Maybe I'll do it back here. I've already got a little thickness there. Not good. Oh, I have to put my interfacing on. I've forgotten about that. I really don't know that you need it, but I want to give it a little more structure. So I'm definitely I got to go cut a piece of interfacing and get some interfacing on here before I forget. So I think one of these at least is going to loop from way back here, and you know, it won't matter where I put it because it can either flip inside or flip outside. So that'll be a loop into the bag. And if I decide to do one that's on the outside of the bag, I think I can do one, and I want to do it back here again, I think, because I think this is going to be, I think what I'll do is do this one on this side, because I don't want them on the same side, and I'll do one on this side, somewhere here, and I'll just make this one a long loop, and this one, I'll make it just stick out just a little bit from there. I do like having the loops. Maybe you don't lose your keys. And you don't have to, this doesn't have to be very long. I like to use one of those carabiner style clips to clip my keys on. Yeah, that's definitely what I think I'm going to do. So don't have to fit the ends of these on that one. So long one in the very back, because I don't know what it'll be used for, and short one on the side, and then belt loops on the back. And the straps on here are going to be attached in. They're not going to be removable, but that's okay, even with the belt loops, because you can tuck them. I think I'm going to go back and look at the video one more time, but I think you'll be able to tuck them inside the bag, which is preferable anyway. Then you don't accidentally lose your strap somewhere. So you can tuck them inside the bag and then wear it with the belt loops. That's my theory at any rate. I'm going to go back and double check that. All right, let me take care of that. Be back in a flash. I think my machine's telling me I need to take a break. So I started to sew this one, and I had a piece of fabric underneath, a leader fabric here, but I still got a tangled mess here, so I'm going to have to rip that out. And then so I switched sides and thought, okay, let me try it from this side, and I went back and forth, totally missed right here. Gonna have to rip that out, and I'm way too far away from the edge. I don't want to be where I'm at, so I'm gonna rip this all out here. I did get my small piece done here. I decided to cut it in half because I thought, oh, I'll make one that I can put in a seam and one that I won't put in a seam. But this turned out, first of all, I kept sewing crooked. You can still see it's crooked. I don't know, maybe you can see it's crooked on both ends, and I ended up shortening it, and now when I get, yeah, I'm gonna abandon this one. This is not gonna work. This is super, super thick. Sewing insecure. It's just, I think it's too small. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. But I do have this loop done for what I want to stick out on the outside, super small. And then this one that I'm going to stick in, and so that it'll dip into the inside. And I wanted that one longer to hang a little bit deeper into the pocket. So that's good. Going to go fix this. And I didn't even bother to try, I don't know where I put it. Oh, here it is. Didn't even bother to do this one, because once I got to this point on this one, I was like, oh, okay, stop and take a break and get ready for the day, because I haven't done that yet. And yeah, then I'll be set for my appointment that's coming up. I don't have to think about anything. I can just sew until it's time to go. All right, I'll be back in a flash. So I've opened up my fabric and look to see where I've got these clips. This is where I have the loops clipped. And 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm 4 inches over from the edge here, and I'm about 1.5 inches. Oh, my lunch is ready. 1.5 inches ready. An 1.5 inches down here clipped. So I've already cut out I've decided to go with fusible fleece. And so what I need to do is, what I'll probably do is just clip this to the back piece and clip this to the back piece and then press this onto the front piece. And I'll be ready to then sew all the way around, leaving my turning gap over here. Oh, wait, no, I forgot about these guys. Okay. All right. Well, let me get this ironed on. I turned my iron off, so I'm going to eat lunch and then turn my iron on and get that going. And then I'll put these on. I don't want to be right here. There's going to be a seam here, so I don't want to be too close. That's cute. Yeah, so of course on the outside here. So I might go in like this and go like that. Oh, that's going to be cute. This will come over. Oh, okay. All right. Pressing this on, I'm getting ahead of myself. Back in a flash. So I'm actually clipping the two pieces together to get ready to sew around and leave my turning gap here. But I thought I should show, I don't think I talked about it before, how I decided where to split this. And so what I did was, with just this piece of course, was I took this and folded it up and matched it up right here. And then I measured to where this is, and that's where I cut it. So I opened it up and I cut it, and then I stitched it back together here. So hopefully that works out for me. We're going to find out in just a few minutes. All right, back in a flash. This is where I've decided to put my belt loops here. I've got them taped on with tape. What is that, painter's tape? What I decided to do is come down an inch from this here and a half an inch from right here to give, I'll have 1/4 inch seam allowances through here. So I think that'll be good. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch here and here and here and here and get those on, and then move forward with stitching everything together. And I do have my interfacing on at this point, so happy with that. All right, back in a flash. I've got it all pinned. What I decided to do, well, one, I decided I wanted to pin it from this side instead of this side. But so I have a double clip here because I wanted to kind of highlight to myself that, hey, this is where I put one of the tabs. And I've got it double clipped here because I put the other tab here. And then I always double clip where I'm going to open, where my opening is going to be, because if I don't, I always sew through it and end up having to pick it up. So I've got this gap over here double clipped too as well. And I opted to go ahead and leave the opening up here because that's going to be, I think, let me see. That should come out towards the back, I think. If I'm folding it correctly, I think that's going to end up, I don't know. I'm not sure because I haven't done this before. Anyway, that's where I decided to do it. I also went up here because I have the join. Oh, you can't see it. Where I flipped the fabric around. That's right here, and I didn't want that in my opening because it might make it harder to close it. Probably not, but still. So that's why I was either going to go up here or back here. And so here's where I ended up. So that, and then like that. And I think that's going to end up in the back. I'm not quite sure. All right, well, I guess we're going to find out. All right, back in a flash. There it is. I've got it stitched, turned right side out and pressed. There's where my opening is right there. And I have to make a little bit of an adjustment because I adjusted the width and length. I just went with what my cut was left. I'm going to have to do a little bit different here because here I think she measured in some distance. I can't remember what it is. And then you take it, and once it's sewn, you just squish down like that, and it opens up like that, and it all lays down. So I'm going to have to figure out what that measurement is, and what I'm going to do, I think, is line it up here and then line it up like that, and that would be the distance. That's going to be my sew line right there. It's right here. Let's see if I've got it right. So line that up nice and even. Ooh, no, it's not going to be quite right. So maybe I go to that edge and then come back. Now I got to get it to right here in the center. So work it forward a little bit. Okay, do this side. Still too much overhang here, so I went too tight. So there. So it's going to peek over a little bit on each side. Let's see where that puts me. Does that match right there? And it does, so that's my spot right there. Okay, I'm going to clip that so I can go measure it and mark it. And then I'll know where to sew. Okay. All right, so I'm going to measure this distance, make sure it's the same all the way down, mark a line, and then I'll sew it on whatever side. Okay, woohoo, it's working out so far. All right, back in a flash. What I decided to do was use a basting stitch. So I measured over where I thought I'd marked it, and I drew my line, and then I did a basting stitch down that line, and I was about 1/4 of an inch off. So I'm really glad I did a basting stitch. And so then I went ahead and pulled that stitch out, did a second basting stitch. That one worked out, and so then I pulled that stitch out and actually sewed it. So still a lot faster than having to pull it out if I hadn't done a basting stitch, because it's way easier to pull it out. I feel like I'm a little off up here, but I think it looks okay. I think it's looking okay. So this is where I'm at with this. My tab here's, well, I think this comes up like this. Yes, this comes up like this. And then this is going to tuck in here. And I could, if I wanted to, stitch this down into there, but I'm not going to do that. I generally don't. And then it can actually swing this way too. But there it goes like that. So then I'm going to stitch, I think I'm stitching these together. I don't know. Figure out what the next step is here. I'm pretty sure I'm stitching those together and putting in the tab. Oh, you know what I haven't done yet? I haven't made the strap yet. So I'm probably going to go ahead and make the strap next. All right, let me just clip this like this. Get that to stay. Oh my gosh, it's looking so cute. Look at that. Okay. All right, let me figure this out. And yeah, I think I'm gonna have to stitch that because that strap goes on, I think, right here. I think. Let me figure that out because I might want the strap to go on the inside here so that it will roll inside. Ooh, but if I do that, I don't know. That might not work. Ooh, I might have a problem here because of this. Didn't take that into consideration. That strap has to be on the outside of here. Okay, back in a flash. Got to figure that out. I have the strap sewn up, and I decided what I'm going to do is, this is the piece right here. It's not sewn together. And I think in her video she stitches this and then attaches the strap somewhere on here. What I want to do instead, because I want the strap to be able to be disappeared, is actually have it clipped. I'm going to sew, let's see, I'm going to sew these together, but I'm going to have the strap clipped between there. So it's in between this section right here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start sewing at least a 1/2 inch, probably a 1/2 inch. Well, this is about a 1/2 inch wide. Yeah, so I'm going to start a 1/2 inch down from the top and stitch down there. So the strap has to go down a little bit farther than that. Not sure I want it over that bump there. And that way, this will still open a little bit, and the strap can then turn and easily go inside. So that's what I'm going to do. Let me see how far down I am. Okay, I'm about even. This one's a little bit low, so doesn't matter really. There, got that there. Now when she attaches hers, if I saw it right, and again I'll have the video linked below, I think all she does to attach it is sew down and stitch over these top stitching here, and then she catches her strap in that. I'm not sure well, let me see what that looks like when I do it. I'm going to go ahead, again, I'm not going to do the first 1/2 inch here and here. I'm going to leave that open, which is fine because again, this is already top stitched. And I'm going to start here and just stitch about from 1/2 inch down all the way down to close this section here off. I think I can even fold that out of the way while I do that. Yeah. So there. And get that section closed, and then I'll have my middle pocket there done, and then do the same on this side. And then I'm going to take a look at it and see if I want to secure that strap a little bit more, which I think I do. And I may just come across here on the bottom and do that. So, okay, back in a flash. And almost done. Okay, that came out really cute. I like how it came out. So here it is. I stitched down these sides here. The only thing I don't like is having to try to lay it right on top of the top stitch, because on this side, whatever side you're sewing on, you're not necessarily seeing it on this side. I don't think I did too badly there. This side though, not so much. Way off. But it's at least the back side, so it's okay. And it's tucked in the middle. I don't know how else I would do that. Yeah, I'd have to figure it out. so that maybe I didn't top stitch this portion until it was time to sew, but it's okay. It's not really a big deal. But not sewing right up here I think is going to work out really nicely, so it's not sewn on the first half here, and the straps are inside there, and that way I can take the straps and neatly, or not so neatly, tuck them right inside of this middle pocket and still put other stuff in, and they don't stick out above, unless you don't fold them all the way. They don't stick out above, right there. Ooh, so you can see it on that. And then if you wanted to use it on the belt, you know, you could put it on your belt. So there's the little loop on the side, there's the loop on the top. I do have to put the snap here. Oh, I forgot to turn that around. So my, that's funny. So this is right side because here is where I split it. And this is right side, and I didn't even think about this, but that's okay. That's okay. So this is upside down. Dang it, I would have had to split right here. Should have thought of that. Didn't think about that. Ugh. What am I thinking? Anyway, I still think it came out super cute. I'm going to go ahead and put a snap here, but unfortunately I have an appointment to go to. Going to have to stop for now. All right. Still super cute. Can't wait to finish it. See you in a bit. It's almost done. I want to fix this little mistake that I made here with the upside down cats. When I made such an effort to make this the right direction here, I came up with a solution. As you can see, I've got the snap on here and it's ready to close, and there's another snap right here, and the reason there's a snap there is I'm going to put a pocket right over this with the kitties in the right direction. It's not going to be a very useful pocket, but it'll be useful for me, make me feel better on that. So I wanted to have the snaps in place, although I'm not going to snap it before I sew it. But I wanted to definitely have these snaps in place because I was going to be putting them in under the pocket here. I did put it a little close, so I might have to switch to my zipper foot. I don't know. Let me see. I'll have to see if I can get past that. But I'm going to go ahead and stitch this on and almost right to the edge there. And then it'll be done. All right. I'll be back in a flash. Ta-da! There it is. Finished. There's a snap right there. I'll tell you about that in just a second. The belt loop's on the back, and the handle is already tucked inside, so you could wear it on a belt loop if you wanted to, or on a belt. On that one, there's a little right there loop on the outside, so if you wanted to hook something there, I might put a key ring on there on that. So look, my kitties are facing the right direction. I put a little pocket on the front here that I put a snap on. So there is a little pocket here for, I don't know, change. Well, probably not change because it'd fall out, but something small there, $1 maybe. And then it snaps here on the front. I did snap it loosely so you could stuff it a little bit before it wouldn't snap anymore. Here is the strap coming out of there. So the strap is, I can't remember how long I ended up doing it. I did the cut of the fabric and it was almost, let's see. So here, attached to the bag at pretty much just about 18 inches. So 18, 36, right? 36 inches. But again, it went an inch deep in here on each side, or over an inch here. Yeah, it's over an inch, about an inch and a half on each side. So 36, 37, 38, 39. So yeah, about 40 inches is what I cut from that, I believe. I think. But there it is. So, and on the inside, there's this pocket here. Nothing here. I could probably do, I mean, if you wanted to, you could probably stitch a little bit here. But it wouldn't stretch open the way you would want it to. But you could end up with another pocket here, but it wouldn't stretch open the way you want it to. So I don't know. There's this pocket here. And then there's this pocket here with the other loop that I put on the inside. And I stuck one of those carry liners. And look, I made a little zipper pouch to go with it. Just because I thought that would be cute to do. And I had, I had the pieces of fabric just about that size ready to go. I did it based off of the lining fabric and what I had there, because this one was just a little bit too big, and that's okay. All right, so I'm tucking that in there, but I could just as easily tuck it over here, I suppose. into here. Now this one does become, let me get that out of the way for a second. This one here, this pocket does become a little bit narrower than this pocket and this pocket, the front two pockets, because, or just at the top here, because I did decide that I wanted to box around that strap and not just stitch it here on the side. So I lost a little bit of space in there, but that's okay. It's still plenty handy. I think I could get my glasses in there if I hadn't put them away on that. And yeah, so you can see here, right here is where the seams ended up when I had, because I pieced the two pieces together as 3 pieces. So I took the one piece, cut it in half, and attached it on each side. And that was to make sure that I didn't get a line right here. Yeah. All right. Snap that closed on that and bring it there. So there it is. I hope you like it. I hope that wherever and whenever you're at, you're having a great time. And thanks for watching. I was done, and then I decided I'm not done. I really want to put a pen pocket in here. And so I started thinking about it, and I think I can do that pretty easily. All I did was I picked apart this side where I had sewn the straps on and joined the middle pocket. And I think I only have to pick apart the one side, and I should be able to get a pocket right in this area right here, and add a pocket. And the seams, the pocket won't show. It'll show right here, which is behind everything. So my stitching for putting the pocket on will show here. So I think I can do it. I don't know. Cross your fingers for me. I'm going to try. So anyway, I can't remember if I said that or not, but I did pick this apart right here. I've got it clipped, the strap clipped on, secured, so I'll check it again before I sew it on, but just to remind me not to stitch right there, because I do want that top portion unsewn so that the strap can get tucked inside. And this is the pocket where the strap gets tucked inside, so I think that's a good spot for the pen pocket. And yeah, so to make the pen pocket, I'm just trying to decide how big I want it, how tall I want it. The width is going to be dictated by the bag. I'm not going to go all the way across. I just want enough room to maybe hold a couple pens here in place. It won't be that wide. I haven't decided on the width yet either, though. I pulled out a couple different pens here, and I'm looking at the height. So I think I'm going to go about there. I want it so you can easily grab the pen, or that you can maybe hook the pen, if it has a hook on it, onto the side of the pocket. The reason I'm going with this length here, height, I guess, is so there's going to be a seam here, so it's going to be shorter, because I'm just going to use the folded piece. I'm not going to worry about this being upside down on the inside. Actually, this is going to be upside down. Their pens are actually going to hook this way. But there's going to be a seam here, so that will shorten it a little bit. And then there's also, when I sew it in place, there's going to be that stitching. I'll show you on the folded part. So I'm going to have to stitch across, and that will change the height a little bit too. Not by much, because I'll do a top stitch. But, so I think that'll be a good height for it, because it'll end up being more like right that. And then the placement in the bag will depend on, I want to make sure for sure that these pens are below, like right below the top of the bag. So that's how I'm going to figure out the placement. Oh, okay. I'm done right now with this. I'm going to start cutting, start sewing. This is pretty easy. I'm just going to cut it off right here. Then I'm going to stitch around, leaving a turning gap, turn it right side out, and then top stitch across the fold, which makes this the front and this the back. And then get it into place. But first I have to cut it here, and then I have to decide on the width here, because I think maybe 2 or 3 pens tops. I might do a smaller pocket for one pen, maybe like a favorite pen, and then a double wide pocket to put multiple pens in. I haven't decided yet. Also considered lining it with like a vinyl to keep it if the pen breaks, but I think I'm going to pass on that option. Okay. All right, back in a flash. All right, this is what I'm thinking for the width of my pocket. I'm going to go with, so here's about 1/4 inch. That'll be my seam allowance. And then I'm going to do about 1 inch for each pen. And then I'm going to go 1/4 inch past here for my other seam allowance. So I'll do 3.5 inch wide cut, and hopefully that'll work. I'm not really sure. I mean, you have to count for the bulk of this, and I think that will work. You know, fabric is flexible on both sides because it's fabric on both sides. So yeah, crossing my fingers that that's going to work, because I will actually, I'm not sure if I'm going to put channels on it. Definitely going to want to at least put one channel. I don't know. It'll depend on how hard it is to get inside that bag to do it. But okay, that's what I'm going to do. Cut it right here at 1/4 inch to account for my seam allowance, and that accounts for this seam allowance. And that'll give me 3 pin slots. Okay, back in a flash. All right, I stitched the pocket together. I left the opening on the side, and then after I finished stitching it, I thought, oh, I should have put some interfacing on it. So I went ahead and pressed on some Shape Flex on both sides of it, so the whole piece, and then I flipped it around right side out. And now I've got it kind of worked into the pocket, and I think I came back down about 1.5 inches. I did was I took the pen to see where it would hit the bottom of the pocket here, and I just wanted to make sure it wouldn't go above the top of the bag on that one. And both pens I have are pretty much the same height, so it's a little bit under the pocket. Hopefully when I get the seam in, of course it depends on where I stitch it here, but now I'm looking at it and I'm going, wow, that's going to be a tough sew. So probably the easiest thing to do would be to actually unpick the other side as well. The reason I hesitate is when I stitched over this side, it actually came out pretty perfect on this side too, and so I don't really want to unpick that side. So I'm debating on whether or not to do that. If I don't, I mean, I can get the bag out of the way, but I'd have to sew down one side, and then I'd have to come back on this side and sew across towards it, and then I'd have to sew down the other side, which is not a big deal. I don't think. I'm just not sure I can get in all the way, because I've got to get the bags. I think I'd actually have to do it in 1, 2, 3, 4 times, because to sew it here, I have to push this outside of the bag out of the way, and then to sew on the other side, I have to push it this way out of the way. So I'd actually have to stop stitching. So, and then I have to actually still stitch it down to divide the pocket, because I still am going to divide it into 2 pockets. I'm just going to have one narrow and one less narrow. They'll both be narrow. This one will be just narrower. I'm going to play with that and see what I can get done. Wish me luck. All right, so I've got the first side in, and then when I was down there, I turned and I tried to stitch this way, so I backstitched in the corner. And then I was like, okay, let me see if I can come straight this way. The stitching was so bad I didn't even bother to, I picked it out. So I wasn't going to show you, because it was like, yeah, really bad. So I am going to have to go here, and then from the center that way, and then from the center this way, or this way to that way, because that's actually, I think, the easier way to sew. And I might actually change to my zipper foot too to get a little more space here. Thread. And then here. Yeah. And I poked myself with my pin. I'm going to try getting that other side in, and then I have to go someplace, and I'll be back. I'll be back in a flash. So I have both long sides sewn down. I've got my channel sewn down. My pen fits nicely. And I've got it sewn to right about here. And now I'm trying to figure out how am I going to get that side sewn over there. I have a couple options. I could rip the other side out. I could try to see. I did switch to my zipper foot. I could try to see if I could still get in there to get some of that done. I have to move. So you can see I've taken the whole bag and pushed it to one side. So I'd have to flip this side over and then flip this side back and see if I can get in there. It gets really thick at that point. Or I could hand stitch it, which is kind of where I'm leaning, because I really don't want to rip the other side out, and that's not really that much to hand stitch. Although it might not be that fun, but yeah. I put it on upside down. No, I put it on upside down. Oh man. All right, I'm back in a bit. Okay, well, luckily I had an appointment that I was just sitting and waiting at, so I was able to rip the whole pocket off, everything. And I've got it pinned back in here. And what I decided to do, since I was sitting there and I still had some time to do some ripping, and I didn't bring anything else with me, was go ahead and open this other side. I didn't do the whole thing. I may change my mind and go ahead and do the whole thing, since, you know. But this one is where the square is. to hold the strap in. And so I thought this is going to give me some room here, and hopefully it'll give me enough room to come in from that other side to do this base here. So right now what I'm going to do is go ahead, and I think I still have my zipper foot on my machine. I think I'm going to go ahead and go down this and go this way and see how far I can get. I can't go further than here, or I'll be sewing on, you know, the wrong part of the bag. So I can go here and here. I'm going to see if I can get that far straight. And then I'll come over. I already know I can do the other side because I did it once, and I can go straight down that way. And then the only issue is this little piece right here. So I'm going to see if opening that up from the other side, if I'll be able to get in there from that way. All right. All right. And it's on the right way. Double checking, triple checking, quadruple checking. And again. All right. And then I'm going to also put the dividing line in there too, for the smaller of the two small pockets. Okay, back in a flash. Okay, here it is. Secured the right way with the heads up. You can see I made a little bit of a dip here as I was going around, but it's still connected stitching, and I'm not worried about that. It's still also connected here. I've got this divider here, and then on the other side it did help quite a bit. I haven't flipped this out yet, to be able to have this opening so I could get my machine in here and get this stitched across. Although I did have, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but there's a teeny tiny little, oh, it looks big on camera, but it's not very big, gap here. I mean, it's small. It looks big, but it's small. It's right, there we go. Now you can see it. See how small it is? Right there. I mean, if you have something that small that's going to fall through, that slim, it's just going to hit into the other pocket. So it's not going to fall out of the bag and get lost. It's just going to fall into the bag and get lost. So I'm not going to worry about that little spot there. I don't want to sew any closer because I'll make a mistake. And so there it is attached. So now I have to try to get this side back together again and this side back together again, and I'll be done. All right, I think this is going to be one of those bags there where if it could go wrong, it's going to go wrong. But remember, it was fine before I decided to change it. And so I have the one side stitched up, and I did pretty good. This is the back, and you can see just followed. I can't see what I'm doing because I'm stitching from this side. And I did a really good job of getting the stitch on the other stitch line there. And then almost got it on this side as well. Just got lucky. Now, not so much on this side. So this is the thing. So I'm intent on making sure I'd remember to leave that 1/2 inch open at the top, right? And I got it all lined up, and I made sure my strap wasn't twisted, got it sewed, and look at that. Not even. So I'm like, oh, crap. Okay. Shoot. All right. So I'm going to pick that out, fix it, and hopefully make sure the strap's not twisted and that I stay a 1/2 inch down from the top. All right. I will get this done. It's going to be great. All right. Back in a flash. Ta-da! It's done. I fixed all my mistakes and I am done. Let me show it to you. The strap, again, it's not a super long strap, but you can wear it. I'm putting it on my shoulder right now. You can't see that, but you can wear it over the shoulder. You could probably, depending on, if you're short enough or small enough, you could probably go crossbody with it, but it would ride a little high because, again, the strap's not that tall. But you can also, I did remember I fixed this side so it's even, and I didn't remember not to sew up all the way up, so I left that 1/2 inch so that this strap can be folded up and tucked inside the bag. And the bag can be used instead with the belt loops on the back. So did that, and I really like that. I did that on another bag. It was a much bigger bag. It was a bag for the basket, a bicycle basket in the front, and I had handles that were attached only on one side and could tuck in an outside pocket, and that way you don't lose the strap or the handle when you decide you don't want to use it. You can just tuck it into one of the pockets, and I like that because for me I would lose the strap and forget where I put it. It has 3 pockets here, here, and here, big pockets, and then I've made the little pouch that fits in the back. Well, it fits in any of the pockets, but you can fix it to the loop. This loop is on the back, and the loop can go either on the inside of the bag, or you can hang it on the outside of the bag as well, if you prefer on that. And that might give you a little extra room if you wanted to hang something a little extra. You could also use this loop over here, which I think might actually work as a pen loop. I put a key ring on it, but let's see if I take that off real quick. Ooh, came off real quick. You might actually be able to put a key loop in it. I never or key loop, a pen in it. Never tested it, but, well, it won't fit that pen. Too tight on that direction, but you could hang it on this side. I probably wouldn't, because I would be probably afraid that I would lose it, but I think you could get that loop to fit that way. Well, not going to do it on camera. But much better, I think, to be used with a loop. And then you could hang your keys on the outside. Hopefully in a place where you don't have to worry about someone taking your keys from you. But there we go, put that back on. So you can hang something else on the outside there if you wanted to do that. Okay, let's see, 3 pockets. Oh, pockets on the inside. So on the middle one, I did add the pen pockets. That caused me so many problems because I goofed because I put it on upside down. And it is right side up. I don't know if you'll be able to see the kitty faces in there, but it is right side up now. There, maybe. One side fits a single pen. The other side fits 2 pens. And it may be 3, but it'll at least fit 2. So you have easy access to maybe your favorite pen and some other pens here. And that lifts it up. So if I were to drop it down, the pen down, it does lift the pen up a little higher, so that it's a little bit more readily accessible. So the person hoping to gift this to is a journalism major. And of course, you would want a place for a notebook and pens to be really handy if you were on a story or something like that. I would guess. I don't know. I'm not a reporter. So I'm taking those out because this is the bag that everything went wrong with, and I don't want them leaking in there. just feeling like that could happen. A little bit of negativity there, sorry, on that. So there it is. Oh, I did change. So again, on the outside, I had to change. I fixed my mistake with the flap coming over and the cats being upside down by putting the pocket here. I changed this snap. Don't remember if I said that or not, but I changed this snap from this bright turquoise on the front to this heart snap here. I think it blends in really nicely here. I don't know that you can even tell it's a heart on that one, but if love cats, so I think that's cute on that. But it blends right in, and it's not this big dot right standing in the middle, so I was much happier with that as well. When I got done with everything, I had this little piece left because I decided that I would make this bag. Just made a zippered pouch. Simple pouch, because I had this much fabric left, and why not, right? To make that, and it has a little loop, and I guess if you wanted to, you can hang it off the side. It won't fit in the bag, it's too big, but I guess if you wanted, you can hang it off the side. But anyway, I just thought it would make a nice addition, and it would use up almost all the fabric. I'm not going to do anything with that. I'll just keep that in my scraps, and it'll turn up in something else that I do, maybe in one of my circle pouches that I'm working on. I still have, I think I only have one more to go, and I think it's blue, so it's probably not going to turn up in that. But let's see, I did green, I did blue, yes, I think it's going to be another blue. Purple. Oh, I did a purple. I already sewed that one together. Okay. All right, so there it is. I hope you like it. I hope that wherever and whenever you're at, you're having a great time, and thanks for watching.